Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Screech Bond Commentaries. I am David Baron von Fabulous Lark, and this is my co-commentator.
Callum, the good Doctor Young.
And we're here to bring you commentary on another exciting edition of the Keyforge Online team event, Top Cut. I believe we're now at the quarterfinals, the top 8, and we
Indeed.
are going to be commenting over something of a Hamburg Atlanteans civil war.
It is
Yeah.
Tritons at Dawn as the Hamburg Atlanteans face off. I did like that one.
That's good.
And here we're looking at IrieDaily representing Hamburg Atlanteans 2 versus Sredz representing Hamburg Atlanteans 3.
Mhm.
We're going to start with IrieDaily playing They Who Flirts with Cleavers.
We are indeed.
A frankly alarmingly named deck, but quite a good one.
No, definitely.
So the thing that I think brings my attention here is the Ember control. There's a lot of it. So you're looking at 2 Infernuses, 3 Pismires, which obviously going to be huge against a number of decks, and an Effervescent Principle. So you sort of rack up the key cost with the Pismires until you can keep them off with either an Effervescent or a double Infernus. And I think that's going to be a lot of control throughout a game generally, right? It's going to be
Yeah,
quite hard to
definitely.
overcome that.
Definitely is. And I think that in terms of like Ember control, in terms of other like Ember protection, it's got as well. You've got stuff like a discombobulator, which is a very
Mm-hmm.
good way to protect your Ember and make sure that when you're playing that effervescent principle, you're making sure you're going to be able to play it at the correct time. So that's like just after you forge the key, and you've got enough
Yeah.
though where you can stop your opponent forging without
Uh,
affecting
and,
your own Ember.
and we'll see later that that discombobulator could be very big. Um,
Mm,
and while you're keeping them off check, you have some pretty good tricks of your own.
you do
You've got
indeed.
some pretty decent rush. You've got the Fandangle and a Vault's Blessing, can do some work. You've got a very fast Logos.
Yeah, the Vault's Blessing is good, but with only 8 mutants in the deck, it's not going to be the best Vault's Blessing. And if we are in a mass mutation mirror, um, it
Could
might
be
not be the
timing.
easiest card to get off.
It might not. You probably want to combo with a Savage Clash
Mm.
to try and wipe their mutants off and then play a couple of your own. Uh,
But I think that the
you have,
Dis is one thing that's really impressing me here. You
yeah.
said you've got those 2 Infernuses, you've got an Inspector, a Bonesaw, all very helpful, but double Mark of Dis can really swing a game. And also a Grim Reminder is going to be a big card here. Choose a house, archive each creature of that house from your discard pile. And as we were discussing previously before we started this chat, I think all 3 houses you'd be happy to use that Grim Reminder on, depending on the state of the game.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
getting back
Bring
into
back
furnaces after you've made a Skixu node could be really
all
good.
3 Pismires and a
Great.
bunch of other Untamed.
Getting Daughter, Tarato, well, not a QMEX, but like I say, an Umbrabot. Really happy to do that as well. Potentially, it's all pretty gravy. Just briefly mentioned Kitsuna there. It is a rare, so we'll quickly go over it like we are wont to do. It's an Omega, which means it's the last thing you can do on a turn. Once you play it, your turn ends. And it's destroy each other creature. For each creature destroyed this way, gives Kitsuna a +1 power counter. Now it's worth bearing in mind it's each other creatures, that's both friendly and enemy creatures. And in this disc, with stuff like Inspector, Infernus, there's any with a Soulkeeper, for example. Well, Soulkeeper's not useful in this situation, but plenty of things you don't mind going to the discard, especially with that Grim Reminder to bring them back.
Yeah, so if you know you've got the Grim Reminder still coming up, you might see a bunch of things. And it's a very good board wipe. Kill
Yeah,
everything.
excellent board wipe.
Uh,
Get yourself a big
isn't
creature on the board as a result.
isn't disrupted by stuff like stealth mode, which is sometimes big.
Mm.
Um,
So just finally, just to briefly touch on the logos, I think the logos maybe is good. It's a solid logos. It's not some of the best logos you'll see from Mass Mutation, but it's got the kind of things you need just to kind of pull through your deck as much as possible. You've got the sloppy lab works, you've got the Daughter, you've got the QMEX and the Eclectic Inquiries, and also just
yeah,
like a bit of removal in the Bouncing Death Clock too, all very handy. But
I mean, I think it's a sign about how jaded we've become with mass mutation logos that we look at this 28 SAS logos and go, it's reasonable. There are better logos than mass mutation because
mm,
it's pretty damn quick.
it's definitely going to be quick out the blocks.
Um, you sort of got the double sloppy lab work. It's my favorite card. An enhanced daughter, which is enhanced with, I'm looking, a draw. So
Hmm.
more logos draw.
Very nice, very nice. Well, everything's enhanced
Tarato
with
could
draws actually.
potentially go off. Ah, yes, I could have worked that out much quicker if I was slightly sharper.
Yeah. No, it's
So I think,
a very nice deck, and I think the combination of speed and Ember Control is going to serve you very well. Touch of Artifact removal, just in case you need it. It's a
Yeah, I
solid
think
deck. It just kind
this
of
is a
does a bit of
very
everything.
very strong all-round deck,
Mm.
as reflected by the fact it's 86 SAS.
Yeah,
It's pretty high.
it's all right. It's fine. I suppose. It's all
But
right.
its opponent today is also
Sanchez,
86 SAS.
the Deceptively Dastardly.
Sanchez, the Deceptively Dastardly, being played by Sredz, representing Hamburg Atlanteans 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, this deck's very interesting because you have a frequent mass mutation combination, which is a lot of creature control with a lot of high expected and high raw Ember.
You
You've got
do,
sort of,
yeah, and it's the big thing that's limiting this deck is the speed, and I think that's going to be what this match is decided on. Because we saw 14 from from Cleavers, and all that logos. This has 0. It's got nothing slowing it down. It's got nothing speeding up. You are playing this deck exactly as the cards come to you.
yeah. But you do have a colossal amount of answers to things, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if your problem is Ember, you have 3 Infernuses,
Yeah.
double Bonithing, one last job with a good chunk of Shadows creatures that you can purge.
Yeah.
7 of them, in fact.
Yeah, and you've got stuff like Bonithings, which normally you'd be like a bit reticent to purge, but with the speed of this deck, you'd almost be fine with it just because you're like, well, the likelihood of these coming back around is pretty slim anyway. Just happy to give them a little purge just to get.
Probably not going to make it through the deck more than once.
I'll just highlight one nice job, which is purge each friendly Shadows creature, steal 1 for each creature purged this way. So you don't get to choose whether or not to purge things. It's literally just whatever Shadows creature on the board, they're getting purged.
A card that originally debuted in Kote and has come back from Mass Mutation. And
Yeah.
I think everyone was pretty happy to see it. It is historically quite strong.
Yeah, definitely. But you also got a Rad Penny, which I think everyone is always happy to see in an Shadows. One of the, I say maybe the best common in Shadows for MM.
I could see that. You can make a case for Bow as well, but they're both pretty damn good.
Definitely. And finally, we'll round it out with a talk about the Untamed, which Vault's Blessing is card we saw in both decks. I think both decks is going to be a bit of a joust to play it, because with both decks with like kind of 8 and 9 mutants respectively, 9 for Sanchez, 8 for Cleavers, there's going to be some turns where you just can't play Vault's Blessing because you're going to be potentially putting your opponent on check.
And that mutant joust, let's call it, is, I think that's going to be our word of the day, joust. I like joust.
It's a good word.
Mutant joust is a big thing in this matchup because obviously Cleavers is going to rely on triple Pismire a lot. So really wants to have more mutants down than its opponent, which might be difficult given you have a lot of removal in the Untamed in Sanchez, but also a lot of mutants. It's got a Pismire of its own. It's got the 2 Dark Fairies. And there are mutants elsewhere in the Shadows as well.
I think one thing that I've just realized about the Vault's Blessing as well, that it could be a very good finisher in this deck. When you've got the Key Frog and the 2 Dark Fairies, you can set it up with, say, a Vault's Blessing, get yourself a bunch of Ember, then play that Savage Clash with the Key Frog to win the game out of nowhere too.
Yeah, and the key sheets are always good in terms of determining what's going on.
Also potentially rapid evolution as well to make that Key Frog powerful enough where it's bigger, not the lowest power.
Also a couple of other damage pips floating around on some of the Untamed cards.
Very true, very
true. On Dark Fairy, on Evolution, on Pismire, on Ritual of the Hunt. So you might have a couple of ways to potentially kill off that Key Frog and gain Ember at the same time.
Yeah, I'll just go over Ritual of the Hunt quickly. For the remainder of the turn, you may use unfriendly creatures as an Omni ability. So a good rare. I'd say in this, harder to use because you've got relatively few Untamed creatures and they are quite squishy.
Yeah, this isn't really the deck for it. I'm always surprised to see, say, a Dark Fairy live a turn.
Yeah. And I feel like if Dark Fairies live in a turn, you'd be tempted to take Untamed anyway.
Probably, yes. So the question is, who do you think is going to win?
I would, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on They Who Flirts with Cleavers. I think, as we've said, both of these decks are kind of looking to do quite a similar thing of kind of like Ember control and, kind of angling around your opponent and making sure you can, like say, Mark of Dishonor into a house and get that key forged. I think the thing is that They Who Flirts with Cleavers has that speed, which means that they're just going to be getting more threats out, more Ember out, giving Sanchez more and more things to deal with. I don't think Sanchez is going to be able to deal with it necessarily, would be my
I probably I'm a little bit unsure about this. I think it's going to be a very delicate dance around each other's answers. You're sort of going to be thinking a lot about what Ember control people have left, what board wipes they have left, what things they still have in the deck, which I think Sanchez could, with the right draw and the right play, come out on top.
Hmm.
But obviously, statistically, with more speed, more efficiency, you are right. I think that Cleavers is probably going to have more of a chance of getting the setup that it needs to win.
I think one thing that's interesting actually that is worth mentioning for all of these matchups we're going to be doing here is that these are all teammates. And presumably these are teammates who play against each
Yes.
other a lot and know these decks very
Yeah.
well.
And have possibly lent the decks to each other for
Mhm.
things, so have played them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Kote, right? So
Yeah, it's an
they're
online
out there.
team event. It's
Yeah.
I think we're going to be seeing some very interesting games of Keyforge where there's going to be a lot of kind of possibly bluffing, but also possibly like plays that we're not even going to recognize because these guys know these decks so well and know what the other deck is capable of.
Yeah.
That there is going to be a lot of like theoretical play that is going to be in the two players' heads. We're going to have to try and unfurl.
I think that's going to be really big in this matchup. So
Mm.
if it sounds like we have no idea what's going on, that is the ever so clever reason that we don't know what's going on.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll now see whether we do catch any of what's going on as we move on to the game portion of the episode.
All right, let's do it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the game portion of the episode. And that's because it is morning for us, coming to you from 7 o'clock in the morning here. It shows our true commitment to the Keyforge cause.
I and our lovely players today are in the glorious Central European time zone, so it's 8 a.m., practically noon. And we're looking at some pretty interesting opening hands here. Sredz, I think, is probably going to ditch that because they don't want the double bonizing super early.
You don't, but you've got stuff like Essence Scale, you've got the Miasma Bomb, the Gleeful Mayhem early that you're not going to be too mad at. I'd consider for the IrieDaily's mulligan into all three Pismires and a Toad there. He's got to be pretty happy with that.
I don't know. Obviously, the keys aren't going to come until a bit later. Do you see the
key from Sredz there as well?
Interesting. Perhaps they know something we don't.
Perhaps indeed.
The Essence Scale is a pretty good early one.
Just to clarify, we have IrieDaily at the top of the screen playing They Who Flirts with Cleavers, as you can see here. And on the bottom of the screen, we have Sredz playing Sanchez, the Deceptively Dastardly.
Although, to be honest, not very deceptive. Very obvious what is going to be very good about it. Not subtle.
And I believe we're probably going to see a Shadowstone here to get the Miasma Bomb out, get the Bonithings just down on the field. And we've seen all three ooh-woo from Sredz there. Shocked Pikachu face indeed.
And the Grim Reminder in hand.
Just ready,
ready to take all of them again.
Oh, and I Reclaim by Nature as well, so I can think we're going to see the Essence Scale be taken out very early this game, sadly. And we do see the Dark Wave killing only that Toad. Poor guy. Just wants to do some hopping around, and he's always getting murderized by...
Accomplished even less than usual.
Indeed.
So probably on same turn from IrieDaily here, and made a very strong start.
I would think so, yeah. You get the Reaps in, get the Reclaim by Nature, probably in the Essence Scale. I think the Miasma Bomb's less of a concern. We are seeing the Untamed. And that Essence Scale is no more.
It's been purged.
It has been purged. Right, pleasing. That's okay. What are we going to see from Sredz here? I think we're probably going to see the Dis turn. Just try and get rid of those Pismires with the Grim Reminders. Maybe even trying to purge a couple of them, which if he does so, I'm sure IrieDaily is going to be not best pleased when he has that Grim Reminder in hand.
Yeah, definitely purge one. Can you get both? Not quite.
Can you?
Don't think you can
no,
get the
you
pain
can't
reaction
actually.
to work.
You can't. I was trying to see if there's any damage icons on Pain Reaction or Infernus, but sadly not. So, just go.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to take the Dis turn, purge at least one Pismire. And hey, there's 2 more Infernuses to go yet, so plenty more purge to come.
Indeed, there is. We are going to see the Pain Reaction, just capture 1, put some damage on the Pismire, and the Infernus is going to come out. Yes, so presumably purge that Pismire. Maybe that Reclaim by Nature as well. Just wanting to.
Don't want to take out the Toad.
Well, I mean, it's tempting, but I feel the Reclaim by Nature just edges it.
Yeah, just a little bit. If anything, Toad is too powerful. It's just too fun. You just want to leave it in the game.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't understand, we had a big conversation the last time we saw this deck about how Toad is ridiculous and there's no need for it. And Zenith's Blood Shadow is a good card that is not remotely good enough to justify having this massive downside for no reason.
I mean, I think it was a cool idea and having it tie in with Toad, especially with it being Prince Derek as well. That's a very fun tie-in. Prince Derek's very cool. I just think you could have made Toad less bad. Is the thing. I don't know why I just can't reap. You could have just made it a 1-power beast who could reap. I don't really see the cannot reap. That just seemed unnecessarily harsh.
So IrieDaily is thinking about this. So I have a couple of good options, right?
We see a nice hand from Sredz has come together as well here. You know, we've got Reclaim by Nature if any artifacts come down, Lost in the Woods to shuffle away those Pismires. Just kind of
Vault's Blessing, so you sort of shuffle in their mutants and then play two of your own.
Yeah, also be able to shuffle in that bonus thing, that Infernus as well. We're very happy about.
Big deal.
But yeah, let's. I think it is a difficult decision because you've got a lot of stuff in IrieDaily's hand that, especially in the disc, maybe isn't the ideal time to be using this. But
yeah, you don't want a Grim Reminder this early at all.
But we do have the draw icon, which drawing Sluggus there, not ideal. And we're going to see the Snoret come down, the Implosion. Yep, take out that one damaged one and take out the Infernus. And keeps the Grim Reminder, just holds it. I think fair enough. When you got that hand of logos, you know you're going to be able to use some card draw fairly soon. I think that's a very reasonable play.
Because you want to bring some massive amount of creatures back.
I think we are going to see a Lost in the Woods here come down from Sredz into a Vault's Blessing for a fair bit of Ember.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big turn. And then goes the Dominator Bauble.
Yeah, which had a draw icon on, so Sredz drawing an extra card. Only a subtle auto, nothing to help his current turn, but potential. And we are going to see that bonus thing shuffle. We're going to see Sredz probably in the turn here on 9 Ember, so nothing to sniff at.
No, pretty fast untamed.
And getting the Vault Blessing down when there's no mutants on Irie's side of the board as well.
Yeah, that is a strong draw. And timed very well by Sredz.
Indeed. I'm just going to quickly... I've realised that the cards on my screen are only medium. I'm going to try and make them a large here.
Ooh. Dramatic developments.
Yeah. Just so we can see a bit more easily.
You have disconnected, which is concerning.
I'm going to reconnect though. It's all good. What's the password again?
Is it Kote? Kote 7.
Kote 7.
And
yes, that is much better. Much easier to see what's going on. I don't believe we missed any action. No, Lethalogica has discarded a Skixuno and an Infomorph.
Real big Logos turn coming.
And yeah, cards are much bigger now, much clearer.
Eclectic Inquiry hitting a Flume for sloppy lab work.
Oh yeah, we can look at the archives. I'll bring that up here we see Flume. Flume, one of the most adorable cards in Keyforge. Up there with Saurian Egg.
It is very cute. Interesting thinking now what you want to hit with the Bouncing Deathquark.
It is an interesting... I mean, do you play it now and just say hit one thing in the Dark Fairy, leave the Pismire alive, and whap down a lot of logo stuff? Do you maybe play, say, an Infomorph to hit both?
I could see yourself hitting both. And the problem is to hit both, you need to play 2 creatures.
I don't think. Because it's destroy an enemy creature and friendly creature, and then you repeat the effect. So
as long as it's possible to repeat the entire effect.
Is that the case?
It
not a big Bouncing Deathquark user, sadly. Let me just...
Yeah, it's a specific condition on Bouncing Deathquark that you don't see on a lot of cards. Mostly you go with do as much as you can, but this has a specific condition.
Right, okay. Because I thought it would be you may repeat the effect, as in...
No, in the end, it's just...
But I suppose that's to stop you being able to just, like, keep destroying an enemy creature, even though...
in the end, has just played it to take out one enemy creature, the Dark Fairy.
I think that's very sensible.
Instantly has left the Pismire because I think wants to set up a big turn with a lot of reaping.
And you're now outnumbering the Pismire with mutants, so
you are as well. So that doesn't matter.
Lessening the impact.
Is turned off.
Yeah, we do see a potential here for a very big one last job from Sredz this turn. You know, you've got 3 mutants there in hand, all 3 that you're not going to mind too much purging, and steal 3 Ember.
I could see that. Go to check again.
I think we are going to see that with the shadows coming down. So we see the subtle auto. Bone Nithing, going to put a damage. Probably on that Terato, I think is where I put it.
That is the big threat. But the problem is that Terato is going to live through the turn, and you're going to get 3 mutant reaps drawing 3 cards.
It is, and you've also, we know, but obviously Sredz doesn't. With that Veta Principle in hand, I can't think Sredz is going to be too sad about this one last job coming down now. Obviously not chuffed about it. You never chuffed to have someone steal 3 of your Ember, but if they're going to steal 3 of your Ember, best do it when you got an Veta Principle in hand.
Pretty good. And with the sloppy legwork coming out of the archives as well, it's going to be a big cycling turn.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm going to see. So yeah, we're going to see these reaps coming down. We see the Infomorph here first.
Professor Terato always a little bit risky because it's all mutants. It's not just your own mutants.
It is. Oh, is it all mutants?
Yeah, so you kind of need to stick it on the board when you have more mutants than your opponent, or just don't care about them drawing cards that much. But 3 to 1, and with possible more coming down.
We see 2 Mark of Disses in hand. This could end up with some big implications for the coming turns.
We'll see what Sredz puts down.
I think maybe put the Discombobulator on the Infomorph here, just because the Infomorph isn't normally a threat, so you're now saying you need to deal with this Terato and this Infomorph.
Yeah, maybe the Umbrabot, as it's elusive.
Very true, very true.
Could see it going either way.
I think with the spot removal in Sredz' deck, though, yeah. Oh, just put it on the Umbrabot, fair enough.
So it can't immediately just be fought off by the Pismire. You need to have some form of spot removal.
Yeah, and we have the sloppy lab work. I could maybe see the Savage Clash being discarded and, say, a Mark of Dis being archived. Is what I'd think to do.
Possibly, yeah, you head on board.
And board isn't really a thing that Sredz needs too much with his deck either.
No, it's not like a big, chunky deck. A mere 45 expected power.
Or maybe archive the Grim Reminder even, although you are starting to get more and more things in the discard, so it's probably going to come up sooner.
And if you're Sredz, you're looking down the barrel of an uncomfortable 2/2/2 hand.
You are. I feel like Dis seems likely just to be able to get rid of that Terato. I don't think you can really risk taking a turn where you let, IrieDaily reap and draw.
I don't think so, no.
That many more cards. I mean, I'm going to see the Amazon Mongrel archived, and what was that discarded? Oh, the Amazon Mongrel got discarded, and was it the Grim Reminder archived?
Yeah, Emma Mongrel, good, but you've got a Resurgence in hand, so you can just bring it back and play it.
Very true, very true. Well, I would think the Resurgence would be used to bring back 2 of those Pismires, though.
Maybe. Depends what you want to do in terms of Grim Remindering them.
We do see Sredz going up to check here, and the Rapid Evolution. Ah, yes, fighting the Terato with the Pismire. How did I not think of that?
That's because that's the thing you can do.
It is indeed a thing you can do. But we do see IrieDaily Forge, the first key, bring it to 1-all.
And we talked about in the deck chat the mutant balance now that's going to be quite crucial. Because obviously Pismire on the board, it's now a 10 power Pismire, but isn't doing anything for Sredz just because it's got 2 mutants to 1.
So I think this is an interesting decision here from IrieDaily. With the 2 Mark of Dis in hand, he could potentially think, well, if I Mark of Dis and Grim Reminder, I don't know how much Dis there is in the discard. Not much.
There's not a great Grim Reminder available. This is the thing.
No, there really isn't. So you maybe stick with the Untamed. You can bring back that Pismire and a Flume or an Ember Spine Mongrel, depending on what you prefer. Get the Xenos Blood Shadow down, but
Pismire and a Terato maybe. Ready to just drop that and then reap a couple times next turn.
We're going to see the Resurgence here. Return Pismire and who will be correct?
Thinking.
The suspense. You were correct. The Professor Terato. Gosh darn.
I am an hour later than you, to be fair. So
yeah, you've got that sharpness of an extra hour's sleep. We do see Xenos Blood Shadow down. So I'm actually a big fan of Xenos Blood Shadow. I know people say, "Oh, Toad's too harsh for it," but it is elusive, hazardous 6, poisoned and skirmish. Like that's
Yeah,
them some keywords.
they are some keywords to be fair, but unless you've got something to stick on it for some sort of purpose, it's just going to reap a bit.
It is, but ain't nothing wrong with reaping a bit.
We'll see what it does in this matchup.
Yeah. Now I think we'll likely see a dis turn here from Sredz. Play the Picaroon, implosion it to get rid of Irie's Pismire, possibly.
Maybe the Umbra bot with the discombobulator.
Maybe.
But we're starting to see the kicker come in from They Who Flirts with Cleavers on top, and there's already a Pismire on the board, racking key cost up to 8, and they can drop another one next turn if they want.
Yeah, and if this Pismire lives a turn, you've got the potential for a huge Volt's Blessing next turn.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we're looking at 4.
I can see it being a dis turn with the Picaroon, the Implosion, and the Waking Nightmare. Possibly getting rid of Xenos, but probably getting rid of Pismire. I think I probably put too much credence into the scariness of Xenos, though. Yeah, not a mutant. Just want to check that. Just very scary.
You could always, before you implosion, do you implosion the Pismire or the Picaroon?
I would implosion the Picaroon. I think you're just going to get less done with it, really, than you are with the Pismire. The Pismire potentially is going to keep key costs up. It's got 10. It's got 10 power,
But Sredz thinking over it because it's a delicate point in the game. You could start to feel like it might be slipping away from you.
You can also potentially use that Ritual of the Hunt as well.
Yeah, we badmouthed it a bunch, but
we did indeed.
Forgot about the rapid evolutions.
Indeed, we did. We're going to see the Implosion come down. Maybe even like you said, the Umbra or Discombobulator being a setup for future shadow stealing as well. I mean,
yeah, because we really haven't seen much shadows until that one last job turn.
Although we do see a damage a pip on the Rad Penny, so I think that's less likely. And
true.
the Pismire is the choice with the Waking Nightmare as well.
Is he going to use the Ritual of the Hunt to reap and draw? Nope, not draw. Tornado is in hand, not on the board.
Sadly not. He does crack the Ritual of the Hunt.
Yep.
And I'm guessing going for a reap here. I mean, it's not really worth killing the Infomorph, which is the only thing or the QMX for that matter.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you can take out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get yourself a reap, put yourself on 9.
I think with the death, I think you're pretty actually. I think you probably are going to see an Untamed turn here from Irie just to ratchet that key cost up to say, okay, if you're going to forge, you're going to have to spend all your Ember to do it. The question is, do you... Oh no, you can do the Volt's Blessing because you use the Xenos to fight the Pismire, taking that out.
Yeah, and then get yourself 3 plus a pip.
It'll be so 4 in total. That's makes sense. And so we are going to see Irie go up to 5, very rapid turn. And a very nice dis hand here.
Oh boy, yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're probably going to see the shadows here. Rad Pennies take out the Umbra bots, and then a Mutant Cut Person to Vandalize. Discards the Mutant Cut Purse. That is interesting.
Because you're avoiding the Mark of Dis.
Ah, yes, very astute.
Very clever.
This is something we touched on briefly in the deck chat as well, which is that these are two players who are in a team. They know each other very well, and they know these decks very well. And I suppose you're getting to the point now where if you're Sredz, you're like, I haven't seen any Mark of Dis as this game.
And hasn't played Dis in a while.
Yeah, and it'd be pretty devastating to be stuck in shadows at this point. So is just juking out of the way of that Mark of Dis by discarding the Mutant Cut Purse. Very astute from Sredz and very good play.
Sees the uppercut coming. Leans a different way. Yeah, I understand how boxing works.
Clearly Callum is well versed in how pugilism works.
Absolutely.
And we are seeing the Vandalize. we saw the Infernus discarded there, and we are going to see that Umbrabot perish and Red Penny come onto the board.
So
And yeah, we are seeing here that if he hadn't have discarded that Mutant Cups and put it on the board, it would have been very problematic for Sredz.
But we're starting to also see the potential of a closeout from Sredz with the Key Frog and the Savage Clash. But does have to get there.
He does. I mean, you still got to get quite a bit more Ember to get up there. And I assume we're going to see a dis turn with, say, the Infernus coming down as well.
I'm not 100% on that. I think you've got a decent-ish Logos turn.
True. I'm just going to see what's in the draw.
Drop to rock.
I can't look at what's in the draw.
Yeah, that we're not allowed to do.
No, sadly not.
We could probably deduce it if we were more
I'm just looking here. See, there's not... So what we've had, seven logos in the discard, none in the purge, 2 on the board, 2 in the hand. So there's only 1 logos card in the deck. It's not a great turn for drawing, and it does mean that you could say reap with that Red Penny and draw if you wanted.
True.
It's difficult because there's not really great targets for Mark of Dis. One thing I think you could do is say, hit the Acumex with a Mark of Dis, just to destroy it, get yourself an Ember, activate that Bonesaw to come in ready to get you onto check, then play the Infernus and purge. Well,
yeah, that'd be a pretty solid turn.
And then maybe hold a Mark of Dis back.
Yeah, it just really hurts to play a Mark of Dis and not get that effect.
It does, but I think you at the moment you know that Sredz knows that kind of situation, and you're like, well, Sredz isn't going to play into this. He just isn't.
Yeah, especially now that they've tossed that Mutant Cup Burst. You're like, okay, they know.
Yeah, and you maybe even there's some kind of like head games there of like playing one Mark of Dis. Maybe they think, oh, okay, has he got the other one? The trouble is he's going to draw through the whole of the deck at that point.
Yeah, I mean, so few cards. Yeah, so they'll know that he has it either in the archives or to hand.
Yeah.
Still got that Grim Reminder in the archives as well.
It does, yeah.
So
I guess you Grim Reminder. Yeah, you got
Untamed, maybe.
Yeah, I think the Pismire, the Emberspine Mongrel is really useful as well. I'd definitely say that.
Bournemouth kind of wants more things to die before they Grim Reminder, but doesn't really have much time left anyway.
I mean, I don't think there's that. The only thing that I'd say you really want is to be able to like use the Pismire before it dies. But even then, I think you don't want to wait around that long. I think this is, if you're going to use it, this is the time really. I mean, looking at what else there is that could go into this in the deck, I don't think there's really I think this is like the time, to be honest. There's no more Untamed you can put. Opposed Fandangle is the only thing.
Yeah, especially as you would be reshuffling the turn after. So you'd have to use it then or lose all the value. So I think probably you will Grim Reminder something.
I suppose the thing is that Irie is probably aware of the likelihood that Savage Clash.
Okay.
And we are seeing the
Logos
dis.
turn it is.
That was Logos. Apologies.
So
that's just trying to re-archive it with sloppy lab work
because you don't want to. Yeah, I see that.
Discard maybe a Mark of Dis. Like I suppose Bonesaw actually is more likely.
We'll see what the draws are as well.
No, that's also true. Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's only going to be one draw though from the Infomorph.
Yes, Cumex always strikes me as a mutant because it's sort of a definitive, but it's not. So robot,
a little robot,
teeny tiny robot. When Archimedes refuses a task, I send them X. Kehoe the Adventurer.
I always say Quicksay. I know it's probably is Kehoe. I'll probably say.
I have no idea. I don't know why I say.
Plays the sloppy lab work before the Infomorph draw. That's surprising. It does discard the Bonesaw. And he's going to reap with the Cumex. And fight with the Infomorph. That's interesting. That's not the way around I would have thought that would go.
Yeah, you would have thought you would reap the Infomorph to draw and then fight with the Cumex to recycle it into your archive.
It's also fighting the Rad Penny as well, putting it back into Sredd's deck with only 7 cards. It's pretty risky.
I guess the thing you're trying to do here is avoid it reaping and drawing a card.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a dis turn from Sredz here with the Infernus. Mark of Dis into Untamed.
I think so. Well, you could do Logos again.
Logos that you can draw to is the thing. Untamed, you can only draw one.
You can draw 2. I mean, you probably can work out that they have a handful of Dis common, so you'll probably want to take that Mark of Dis turn.
Yeah, oh no, you're certain now that they've got a ton of Dis, especially with yeah.
And you're going to avoid the Mark of Dis and put yourself on 4.
And we do see the Mark of Dis onto the Pismire, into the Untamed, place the Infernus there. I think also wanting to play it just before IrieDaily flips their deck too.
Absolutely. So you get 2 players and take them off check, which they won't do last turn, and we didn't even talk about. We're very much in the sort of back and forth head games at the moment.
Yeah, and I think this is something that we identified in our chat as being something that was likely to come up here. But what do you purge? You're going to purge something with an Ember Pip on, but I'd say like purging a Pismire here or an Effervescent Principle.
Yeah, you could probably hit one big target here.
Discombobulator might even be worth hitting.
Yeah,
stop the steal.
Discombobulator and Infernus, just Volt's Blessing and an Effervescent Principle.
Volt's Blessing I'd be less worried about. I think it'd be because Irie doesn't have that big key cheat kind of thing that he can do, like Sredz does. Yeah, I think if it was me, I'd go for the Lethal Logica and the Discombobulator. But we do see the Pismire, the Implosion. Interesting.
Are they now going to draw into something to finish this with Keyfrog Savage Clash? No, they are not. Not quite yet.
So yeah, we are going to see. We're going to see the Pismire. It's going to be able to reap and draw a card, and imagine the Xenos Blood Shadow is going to kill that Infernus. Yeah, you're still going to be on check at that point.
I don't think you kill the Infernus. I think you want to Mark of Dis it in a second.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Well made.
Questions as to what to do with the draw here, because also you've got the Grim Reminder in the archives, so you perhaps want to avoid the reshuffle.
And I think you are going to, because you can only play Fandangle.
Yes, you are. So you play Fandangle, reap, draw, but you have 6 cards, so you don't reshuffle.
Indeed. But I think you're probably going to see. It's difficult because on the one hand, I think Sredz maybe wants to save that Savage Clash for using on his Keyfrog.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can't really leave this board alone. So you might just have to bite the bullet.
What's he got left in the deck? Does he have something else with a damage pip?
There's also what you potentially. I think you're going to see Sredz play the Savage Clash because he can leave the Keyfrog alive, and again duking out of that Savage Clash. A Savage Clash out of that Mark of Dis. And yet picks up the archive. Interesting here. I don't know why you wouldn't want to draw that last card, because it wouldn't make him flip the deck. I suppose, presumably he knows what it is and knows it isn't a discard and knows there's not any point having it in hand. And you might as well just wait.
But also then turn down the Reap with the Pismire. Could have. I'm not sure. I think it might depend on what that last card is.
Yeah.
But we don't know what that is.
It's a strange one.
Tough call for Sredz here, because you clearly really want to set up the Keyfrog Savage Clash to win the game.
So looking at it, so Xenos Blood Shadow is the highest power creature. So I think what you do here is you play the Keyfrog, you Savage Clash to kill everything except the Keyfrog and the Xenos. You then put the Rapid Evolution on the Keyfrog. You know that Irie is unlikely to want to take a Untamed turn anytime soon. You just saw him only play a Fandangle when you put him into Untamed with Mark of Dis, which means you can still hit that Key Frog whenever you want by, say, firing into the Xenos. And I think that's the play here, is what I'm making. We do see Untamed coming up from Sredz.
Do you accept that you just get Mark of Dist into the key frog though?
You do, but I think
Just
at
eat
some
that?
point, I suppose, yeah, that's the decision of whether you play the Rapid Evolution or not.
I'd be tempted to play it. I say I'd be tempted to play it. If I were clever enough to be going through the considerations that I think Sredz is going to go through, I'd probably play it now. Yeah, the key frog dies, but you avoid the Mark of Dis.
Yeah, I mean, I wish if we could look at. I'm just looking at actually how much Untamed we have left.
One of his cards is a bad penny. Is a rad penny.
Yeah, we know that. Purge. There's no Untamed Purge. There is 5, 6, 7 in the discard, 3 in the hand. So there's two. There's two Untamed cards in the draw still, I believe.
I think it's a Lost in the Woods and a Dark Fairy.
Yeah, I think that does indeed check out. Yeah, I do believe that is what it is. Which, you've got a decent chance of drawing 1 or 2 of those, and yet we are going to see the Key Frog come down. And I imagine now we'll see the Rapid Evolution on the Infernus. Just get the Ember and
just wants to avoid the
leave the Key Frog on 2 power to stop being Mark of Dist. Very reasonable.
Puts a damage pip on it because the Dark Fairy also, I think, has a damage pip on.
It does indeed.
Yep, so is now theoretically in the Key Frog zone.
We are going to see a Mark of Dis hit the Key Frog. Just yeah,
it's going to die for sure.
Possibly even put a Soul Keeper on an Imp Spectre and then Mark of Dis the Imp Spectre to kill the Key Frog as well. Get a card purged from Sretz's hand.
Yeah.
It's something I'd be very tempted to do. Or I suppose not even with the Soul Keeper. Maybe just Mark of Dis the Imp Spectre, Mark of Dis the Key Frog. Unfortunately, just using it as removal, but you need to just play out this hand. You always got the Infernus as well, just to take him off check.
I'd be tempted to hold up one of the Mark of Dis's.
I suppose it is modifying how Sredz can play here, and it is, we're seeing him discard Mutant Cutpurses, we're seeing him, use Rapid Evolutions on Infernuses, then killing them. It is modifying how Sredz can play. But it's the knowledge of that you might not be taking another Dis turn anytime soon. Depending on what the draw is. But this is all going to be shuffled back in. So there's every chance you may.
Yeah, so there's every chance you get an okay Dis turn with a couple of cards.
Yep, and we see the Infernus come down. And let's have a look at the discard here. I think you definitely get rid of that Key Frog. It's too dangerous to live. What else? Mark of Dis, maybe?
Mark of Dis is probably pretty high up on the list.
Maybe you Infernus there, Infernus too.
I could see that. Infernus, Mark of Dis, get rid of the two of the big threats.
Yeah. And there's a lot of options. You've got basically the whole deck of Shreds in the discard to choose from. Pretty much the ideal Infernus. And we are going to see Irie's deck flip before Shreds can play their Infernus too.
Yeah, the timing has worked out very well for IrieDaily, has maneuvered this very well. Both in terms of saving a Grim Reminder for pretty much the whole game and using it just before they flip their deck.
Yep. Very disciplined play there. And they're taking some time to think about what to hit with this Infernus.
Because obviously this could be a big key turning point in the game. The difference between do you hit 2 Ember Pips
and Mark of Dis and Lost in the Woods is hit here.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I think Lost in the Woods is very good.
It is, yeah.
Especially when you're looking at stuff like bows, Infernuses, lots of stuff you can put back in the deck to great effect.
Yeah, I think my temptation still would have been to get rid of that key frog. It is just a concern that you can have Sredz win out of nowhere, but I think the Mark of Dis and the Lost in Woods are both excellent choices too.
Yeah, you're just gambling on them not drawing enough to set it up.
And with the lack of draw in Sredz's deck, it's something we talked about, is that it's got 0 speed. It's quite unlikely you're going to be hitting that key frog again. You'd have to be a very strong stroke of fortune for Sredz to get that.
Yeah. Is now considering the Mark of Dis.
And the Grim Reminder, I imagine, as well.
Yeah.
I think if he does Grim Reminder, I imagine it will be Untamed.
I think I've resolved the previous dilemma of why they didn't reap with the Pismire to draw, because the Grim Reminder has a draw icon on it.
Ah, right.
So that would have caused them to flip and thus screw up the whole Grim Reminder play.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of play that I would have made and have felt very stupid as a result. So
yeah, but IrieDaily, very aware of their own deck, very good at playing it.
One might even say cognizant of, and we see, a Snorret come to hand. We're going to see Untamed with those 2 Pismires. I think this is a big turn for Irie here.
One they've been building towards for quite a while.
Especially with the Savage Clash having just been played too.
Yeah.
And we're going to see the Mark of Dis immediately redrawn as well.
That's huge. And an Infernus.
That's really big.
That's pretty big. So could just Mark of Dis for days here.
Yeah.
Cognizant, by the way, one of our previous words for the day.
And we see Sredz there letting... Because Grim Reminder, Grim Reminder just does all of a house. It doesn't let you choose which cards to archive there.
Yeah, and in real life play, that would be open information, and you would get to see what they were taking back, and you would know what they're getting back.
Let me just yep, you can see in the archive there.
We did have joust as a potential word for the day earlier in the deck chat, but we could have pugilism as another strong contender.
Love a bit of pugilism. But yes, we do see that Pismire is in the archive. I think is going to be crucial.
But 2 of them have been perched.
Yeah, the only difficulty with this Infernus coming back around for IrieDaily as well is that I think we're going to be in a situation where both discards don't really have any pips in. Because if you're Sredz, you're probably going to be playing a dis turn here, I feel. Not great things to lights out here. Not really just going to play 1 Dark Fairy, whereas that dis turn much stronger. And which means we are going to see a deck flipping from Sredz.
I think IrieDaily could have this, because I think there's a scenario where if you play any creatures that are bigger than 2 power, you just get Mark of Dis and then 3 Reaps.
And then Mark of Dis and 3 Reaps again, potentially, yes. You also got that Snorret that's going to keep capturing Amber, and you can chuck that away, just a bit of a contingency. And the Soul Keeper on the Infernus as well. Just yeah. But Sredz here, deep in thought.
It's a close game.
It very much is, yeah. Like, I think this is again, you've got 2 very evenly matched decks, and 2 decks that, as we said, do some similar things as well. I think another interesting portion of this is that we talked a lot about the speed in the deck chat, but we've seen both decks flip at roughly the same time.
That is interesting.
I think the only thing I can think is that what the speed of Irie's deck has allowed him to do is to kind of slow roll some things, and to be able to be like, right, well, I can play a bit more conservatively because I know that I can like reap through my deck quickly later to get all the cards I need.
Yeah, and partly the reason they've flipped at the same time is because he was deliberately delaying this to maximize the Grim Reminder play.
Yeah. Whereas kind of Sredz is having to, just play the cards exactly as they come to him, which has kind of left him in this situation he's in here, where he's got 3 not so great options.
Yeah, and I mean, I think since that 4-card Shadows turn with the One Last Job, there hasn't really been a better hand than sort of a 3-2-1-4 Sredz.
No,
But that's just living that no speed life.
yeah, as a person who also has a no speed deck, well, nearly no speed, it has a hidden stash, and that's it. I've definitely been in the situation where you're just sitting there going, "Come on, I just want to play more than 3 cards in a turn, please."
Whereas we're recording this shortly before the KFPL Archon qualifier for the Keyforge Premier League, and I will be playing a deck that has a speed of 23.
I don't know what the speed of. I think mine's double figures. I think it's got some moves. It's got the classic Igor and Code Monkey that I'm a big fan of. Good combo.
As you can see, when the Keyforge slows down, thoughts and discussions tend to meander slightly.
Oh, meander, good word. We've got a lot of words today. This is.
Yeah, I note these down, and we may need to make a final decision. Shadows, okay. Back to the Keyforge, thank God.
Interesting choice for Shadows. I did not expect that. And we see Francis the Economist discarded. Lights Out.
Still avoiding that mark of dis.
Lights Out, I think, are probably on the Infomorph and the. Oh, and the Sredz. Interesting.
Get that Ember back.
But I think we are just going to see another dis turn from Irie here.
Yeah, especially because they only played 2 cards, so it doesn't flip.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, very true. I didn't even notice that.
So you're going to hit some more key pieces here.
Yeah. Possibly using one of those Mark of Disses on the Inspector. I'd be tempted.
Yeah, especially as it really looks like Sredz is not going to let you get away with a good mark of this here.
Yeah, and it just is a bit of a kind of like mental kind of, why would he do that? What's he doing? Does he have another mark of this? Does he have a third? Can I play around the potential of him having a third, or is he just kind of messing with me? It's gonna be a really interesting kind of head game there by doing that.
Yeah, because you're not gonna be they have at least one because they've gone through the whole deck and they've played one. I don't think you will see the second coming.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So I think they might hold on to it.
But we are seeing some deep thought here from Irie as well. And I think that's understandable. At this stage of the game, 2 keys apiece. It's very much poised for someone to grasp the game by the shoulders and shake it. And, I think both players, though, don't want to be the one being grasped by the shoulders and shaken.
We're really pushing these metaphors.
Yeah, I love a good metaphor, you know me.
I do know you and your love for metaphors.
Mm.
Okay, discount coming down.
Yep, Inspector. The Sredz. And now the Infernus is going to be another, as ever, difficult decision with a whole discard playing an Infernus.
I think you hit the Key Frog and then something else.
Key Frog, yeah, I would agree. Maybe the Bonithing? Just a bit of insurance.
Doesn't take any Ember away from them, though.
Good draw there from Sredz.
Yeah.
I think IrieDaily would be agreeing with that.
And I don't think Sredz even knows how good it was yet.
He does not. No, I think Bonithing, just because you don't want to risk them getting that Bonithing with the steal of 2.
Yeah, reasonable point from IrieDaily that 5 cards are purged and 7 are in the archives. So did have a reasonable chance.
I think maybe that was like part of the decision of getting rid of that Untamed, is just being able to be like, well, I'm much more likely to keep drawing into my discards, which I'm a lot happier getting at the moment.
Yeah, that has a lot of your Ember control.
Sarah's Clash and Volt's Blessing, neither of the ones that I thought. So
nope.
Egg on my
both
face.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's protecting against that big Key Frog turn, but also like just Volt's Blessing getting enough Ember where he can't do much. We do see the Mark of Dis on the Inspector, hits the Lyco Fiend. Can't say I'll be too thrilled of hitting that. There are much better things to hit both in the hand and deck of Sredz, but just making that Dis turn that's potentially coming much worse.
Yeah, so whether you do that now, you think, well, they've played the Mark of Dis they had left.
Or whether you're thinking, why would they play the Mark of Dis when, now I can do what I want. Do they have another Mark of Dis they have redrawn?
Yeah, how foreseeable does that become?
And I say,
ooh, that's interesting. There's some heavy bluffing going on here today.
Yeah. We do see the Vault's Blessing from IrieDaily here. That, if we see a dis turn from Sredz, I think we'll be likely to see that come down when the archives picked up here, because you've got what
Really? I think if Sredz plays the dis turn, don't you just push for the win with the Mark of Dis?
oh, good point, very true, very true,
Like
good point, well
reap
made.
3 times, Mark of Dis them into Dis, hope they don't have any more answers.
That's a good point. I think that is much more likely, yes.
Um,
That's weird. For once, me wanting the big flashy play and you wanting the more measured, thoughtful play. Who are you and what have you done with the real Callan?
I occasionally play decks that require thought.
Yeah, well, there's
Especially if you
only
might
two
wanna,
options to hit in the.
you might want to save the Pismire for stopping a key.
Yeah, I suppose it's maybe whether he wants to hit his own discard just to get the 2 Ember off.
Maybe at this point, but you're reshuffling.
Which is whatever
Stop.
you'll hit, the likelihood of Irie reshuffling again before this game closes out, I think, is slim.
Yeah, fair enough. Hit throne.
Yeah, just to get the 2. And you see 11 cards purged for Sredz and 5 purged for IrieDaily here as well. I've just noticed that, and that is.
Well, there are 5 Infernuses in this match.
And a one last job as well.
And an Inspector.
Yeah. Purging for days.
So, could gamble on the dis turn to go to check, but Sredz has drawn an answer in 2/6 in dis.
They also have. Yes, the pain reaction. Yeah, with the capture icon. That's very true.
So your options here are go big with Untamed and generate.
We do see
That's
the
what we're
Untamed.
gonna,
There's no mutants on Sredd's board here, so you can safely Vault's
Yeah.
Blessing for
4 plus the Ember Pip, I think.
Is it 4? Yes, 4. You're right. No, it'd be 4 plus the Ember Pip. You are correct.
Snorret.
Yeah.
Pismire Fandangle.
Indeed. And I think we do see the Vault's Blessing here up to 7.
Yeah, and the problem, the reason why this I think is a good play is because obviously if you stop the check here, there's a Fandangle, which will probably put you well out of reach.
Yeah. Well, the only creature in IrieDaily's hand is the QX, so
True.
not the most useful. But I think the only thing that keeps you in the game here is going shadows. But you do have 2 turns of shadows to keep you in the game. You've got this initial turn with the red penny and the one last job, and then you've got the miasma bomb as well.
This, by the way, is I think why they purged the Savage class specifically.
Definitely.
Because you know you're gonna be able to drop this big board.
And you now can't play that dis turn because the 1 capture from the pain reaction is not enough. You can see the Vandalize.
What are they going to vandalize away?
The Bouncing Death Quark, very interesting. And we see the Rad Penny come down. And just a little biff to the Snorret. And then, we do see the one last job to steal 2. And I think... Hang on a tick.
You've got a couple of good options here, right? You've got the Mark of Dis, or you can just reap out with Untamed.
Yeah, I think we are probably going to see the Mark of Dis here. The only real way of stopping Irie at this point is that miasma bomb.
Yeah, so you just want to rule that out.
And you don't want to give Sredz the chance to kind of like steal it at the death somehow with a key frog.
Put yourself on at least 8, possibly 9.
Yeah.
Probably 8.
Yeah, no, I think you 100% go for that Mark of Dis and reap with the Dis. And I think that's what we're gonna see. Oh, we see the Snorret to action. But you're gonna get to 9 with the Ember Pip and the Mark of Dis. Which I think should be enough. Yep, that will be enough, and I think that will be game.
Puts you to 8. Mark of Dis.
You can do either really, probably on the Infernus just to get a bit of damage on it, but
doesn't hugely matter.
no, I wouldn't say it does. But a really good game from both players here. You know, clearly very considered and measured. Sredz, damn, you even drew another mark. Little does he know. I'm sure he'll watch this back and be like, he had it for that long? What?
Yeah, top decking the second mark of this is pretty brutal.
Yeah. And we are going to see him just play out the turn here. Implosion to the Cinder, destroy the Cinerette. And
but not enough.
There we go. IrieDaily grabs the win. The first of the Atlantean Civil War goes to the Atlanteans.
A good day to be Hamburg Atlanteans.
But also a terrible day to be Hamburg Atlanteans.
A dark day to be Hamburg Atlanteans.
Brother fights brother.
But honestly, that was some absolute top level Keyforge.
Very much
Both
was,
of these decks are incredibly good. And you could see that they know them very well and were playing around each other's answers.
Yeah, that middle portion where Mark of Dis was being played around was fascinating to see.
Yeah, it was excellent. And I think that's what distinguishes these players from, to an extent, me, is that I never remember. Like,
I never reminder play that I was.
Yes.
I was like, oh.
We spotted it eventually.
Yeah, but it took us a long time.
It took us a long time. We tried our best, honestly.
Yeah, and we
ooh, IrieDaily's going to see what he can draw for some reason.
I think we'll leave them here for their post game chat, and say thank you very much for listening. I have been David Baron von Fabulous Lark.
And I've been Callum, the good Dr. Young.
We have been Team Screecher Bomb, and we hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.